the title could be, why do you practice Dhamma? What's the reason? And like your answer shouldn't depend on some kind of vague idea that is purely on sort of faith, that I've heard that it's a good idea. And it really should be yours, like your aim should belong to you, and it's not something that somebody else, based on just what somebody else tells, or a copy paste of what somebody else has said. That the aim of practicing Dhamma, if your aim is correct, then it means that you have to see the suffering of the samsara you're living in right now. Like if you say, I want to go out of born and die, I want to go out of samsara, but at the same time you really enjoy life and you like living, then it's total contradiction. Because you are in samsara right now, it's not like a kind of out there other thing. That's what your samsara is, your life now. So you have to see that there's something wrong with it, you have to see the problem with it, you have to see the danger in it, you have to see the suffering in it. They can see literally up to aeons of past lives, and they don't get fed up of samsara. That's not what makes you fed up of samsara. You can see up to literally aeons, and they don't say, what is the use, I have to go become like a bodhisattva or become a silent Buddha. They say, the self in the world is eternal, and it's very good. So it's being fed up of samsara. It's not by seeing even the length of it, it's by understanding the nature of it here and now, that it's suffering. So you don't need to see your past lives to become fed up of born and die, because born and die is right here. Why is it a wrong understanding to have some hope for some kind of ideal of happiness or pleasant kind of life that would bring me happiness, example, in the world? Why is it a wrong understanding to think this? How, even just in the back of the mind, or not that you necessarily think about it very much, but that you might kind of hope, but if I could have a life like this, it would be good and I would be happy in this life, example. I don't know if I'm making it clear enough, but anyway, if you have some kind of a hope or dream or possibility of some kind of happy life that's not about practicing, that's not to do with Dhamma, then it means the basic understanding that gives a reason for practicing is not there. Because if you hope to be happy, or you think to be happy because of some kind of outside, then you haven't understood what suffering is. Then you haven't understood the reason for practicing. You can be fed up of one object, one thing, or you can become fed up of one activity, or I'm fed up of living like this, or I'm fed up of living like that, or I'm fed up of this object of pleasure. But the whole domain of depending on pleasure, greed of pleasure, happiness from things outside, you're not fed up with that. You will go for something else. So that's important to understand, that it's not becoming fed up. It's not to become fed up of this or that. It's becoming fed up of needing anything, needing this, that, the other thing, depending on whatever. He gave an example that it's like if somebody is in a casino, he can become fed up of playing this particular game, but he will just move to another game where he's doing more or less the same thing. So it doesn't mean he wants to go out of the casino. He's just playing a different game. So becoming fed up in Dhamma means to become fed up of playing. Doesn't matter which game. Fed up of playing any kind of game. And if it's not this, then basically it means that you're more aiming for heaven. I want to do good so that I will have a good situation and enjoy. But again, as we said before, going to heaven, you have to see, is totally useless, because whatever enjoyment is there, you just enjoy that, and meanwhile you've solved nothing. You're still dependent on that pleasure, you're still dependent on that pleasant feeling, on that happiness in heaven. And even the pleasure of heaven, it will never be quite enough for you. You still have the greed that is still driving you to get different and more, and that you can never be done with it. So you have to understand that as long as you have moha dosa lopa inside, then you're never out of suffering, no matter where we go or what we do or what kind of situation we're in. you carry around the suffering with you, so you can't escape it by going to some place or other, or going into a different scenario, or changing the object. What you want to become free of, and what is tying you down, is wanting something. It's not wanting this or that. So stop wanting the wanting. And he talked about the wisdom of the Buddha, how he was able to turn it back to himself when he saw old age, sickness and death. That it was seeing the nature of the world that he became fed up, and he saw whatever pleasure he might have is utterly useless ashes.